The first time he smiled at me, I pretended not to notice. At 89 years old, a woman is allowed to become invisible. In fact, people expect it. They expect you to speak about the past, wear sensible shoes, and quietly wait for the years to finish their work. No one expects you to blush because a man saved you the last chair in a library. Least of all yourself. If you stay with me, I'll tell you why I almost ran away from the happiest surprise of my life. I spent 42 years married to a wonderful man, cared for him through 6 difficult years of Alzheimer's disease, buried him with my own trembling hands, and promised myself that loving once was enough. Then, at an age when most people assumed my story was over, life quietly turned another page. My husband's name was Arthur. We married when I was 24. He was never the sort of man who bought flowers without a reason. Instead, he fixed broken fences before I noticed they were leaning. He warmed my car on cold mornings. He always remembered to put extra blankets on the bed before the first winter frost. His love was practical, steady, reliable. For 42 years, I never questioned whether I was loved. Then Alzheimer's slowly took him away. The doctors warned me. He'll begin forgetting small things. They were right. First came birthdays, then names, then places. Finally, one afternoon he looked at me with frightened eyes and politely asked, "I'm sorry, ma'am, have we met before?" That sentence shattered something inside me. For 6 years I became his nurse, his memory, and sometimes even a stranger living in his house. When he died, people told me, "At least he's at peace now." They were right. But no one asked whether I was. The months after his funeral passed quietly. Too quietly. I developed routines because routines don't ask difficult questions. Monday was grocery shopping. Tuesday was church. Wednesday was laundry. Thursday became library day. I loved the smell of old books. Libraries are one of the few places where silence feels comforting instead of lonely. Every Thursday, I borrowed 2 novels. Returned 2 novels. Sat by the large window for exactly 1 hour. After several weeks, I noticed a man sitting across the room. Always the same table. Always the same navy blue sweater. Always reading history books. We never spoke. One Thursday I arrived late. Every chair was occupied. Except one. The chair beside him. He stood immediately. "I believe this seat has been waiting for you." His voice was soft. I laughed. How could it know I was coming? It seemed optimistic. That was all. We read quietly for an hour. When I stood to leave, he said, "Same time next week?" I surprised myself by answering, "I usually am." His name was Samuel. He was 91. A retired high school history teacher. His wife had died 4 years earlier. Cancer. They had been married 56 years. Neither of us tried to impress the other. At our age, pretending is exhausting. Instead, we talked about ordinary things. Favorite authors. The best apple pie in town. Why old songs somehow sounded better on rainy days. Every Thursday became easier than the last. Then winter arrived. One afternoon snow began falling so heavily that the library closed early. Samuel insisted on walking me to my car. Halfway there, I slipped on the icy sidewalk. Before I hit the ground, he caught my arm. His hands shook. Not because of the cold. Because he was frightened. "You almost scared me to death," he whispered. No one had said those words to me in years. Not because I had stopped being fragile. Because people had stopped imagining I mattered that much. I looked into his eyes. There it was. Not romance. Not yet. Concern. Real concern. I drove home thinking about that all evening. The following Thursday, Samuel wasn't there. I waited. 10 minutes. 20. An hour. The empty chair across from me suddenly felt enormous. The librarian noticed me glancing toward the door. He called this morning. My heart tightened. Is he all right? He fell yesterday. Nothing broken. But he's in the hospital for observation. Without thinking, I asked for the hospital's name. Then I stopped. What right did I have to visit? We weren't family. We weren't dating. We were. What exactly were we? I went anyway. He looked surprised when I entered the room. I almost didn't come, I admitted. I'm glad you ignored yourself. He smiled. Then his smile faded. I've been thinking. About what? He stared at the blanket covering his knees. Our children. I nodded. They won't understand. I knew exactly what he meant. People celebrate young love. They become suspicious of old love. 2 weeks later, my daughter proved him right. When I mentioned Samuel over dinner, she smiled politely. Oh. Just be careful. Careful of what? You've been lonely. I don't want anyone taking advantage of you. I wasn't angry. She loved me. She was trying to protect me. But protection can sometimes look a lot like permission denied. Samuel's son reacted differently. Dad, you're 91. So? People will talk. Samuel laughed. At my age, people mainly talk about cholesterol. Months passed. Neither family openly objected. But neither celebrated. It hurt more than I expected. One spring afternoon, Samuel invited me to the botanical gardens. Cherry blossoms floated through the air like pink snow. We walked slowly. Both using canes. Neither pretending we didn't need them. He stopped beside a wooden bench. I have something embarrassing to tell you. What is it? He looked down. I feel 16. I laughed so hard that tears filled my eyes. So do I. He reached for my hand. Not dramatically. Not nervously. Just naturally. Like two people who had spent enough years alone. His hand was warm. Covered with age spots. Slightly rough. Perfect. We sat there without speaking. Sometimes happiness arrives very quietly. This was one of those moments. A little boy walked past holding his grandmother's hand. He looked at us and whispered loudly, "Grandma." They're holding hands. She smiled. I hope we still do that someday. Samuel squeezed my fingers. So do I. We never married. Neither of us needed another wedding. We simply shared life. Thursday libraries. Sunday church. Afternoon walks. Medical appointments. Birthday cakes. Hospital waiting rooms. The ordinary miracles that become extraordinary when shared. Samuel passed away 3 years later. Peacefully. Before he died, he handed me a folded piece of paper. Open it later. That evening, sitting alone in my favorite chair, I unfolded it. Inside were only 2 sentences. Thank you for proving life was still introducing us. Never apologize for beginning again. I still carry that note in my handbag. Not because I cannot let him go. Because it reminds me of something the world often forgets. There is no expiration date on companionship. No age limit on laughter. No deadline for hope. If you've convinced yourself that your best days belong behind you simply because you've celebrated too many birthdays, may I ask you one question? Who told you love keeps a calendar? At 89, I believed my heart had finished its work. At 91, it proved me wrong. Sometimes life doesn't give you another beginning because you were searching for one. Sometimes It simply leaves one empty chair beside the window and waits for you to sit down.